The latest Lombok quake death toll rises to 98 people affected by the earthquake rest at a temporary shelter in Lombok, Indonesia, Sunday, August 5, 2018. A strong earthquake struck Indonesia's popular tourist island of Lombok on Sunday, triggering a tsunami warning, 1 week after another quake in the same area killed more than a dozen people. AP photo, Jakarta, Indonesia. AP, the latest on an earthquake that struck Indonesia's Lombok Island, all times local, 5:10 p.m. National Disaster Mitigation Agency spokesman Sutopo Purwo Nugroho says the death toll from the Lombok earthquake has risen to 98 from the previously announced 91. Officials have been saying the number of deaths would increase as rescuers reach cut-off areas in North Lombok. The ruins of a mosque that collapsed in Lading village while people prayed inside was being pulled apart by a backhoe in search of victims. Photos and video from the disaster agency showed Sunday's night quake had reduced the mosque to a mound of rubble. 2 p.m. An Indonesian disaster agency official says efforts to find victims in the rubble of a mosque collapsed by Sunday's earthquake in North Lombok has been hampered by the lack of heavy equipment. National Disaster Mitigation Agency spokesman Sutopo Purwo Nugroho said at a news conference Monday afternoon the current toll of 91 dead will definitely increase, citing the mosque as an example of the devastation still being accounted for. He said reports that 7 Indonesian tourists were killed on Gili Trawangan Island near Lombok have not been verified yet. Authorities are trying to evacuate several thousand locals and tourists from Trawangan and 2 other popular vacation islands. 11:55 a.m. An Australian man who manages a resort on the Indonesian island of Lombok says he and his family made a 3-kilometer, 2-mile dash up a mountain to escape a potential tsunami after a strong earthquake shook the island. Evan Burns, who manages a resort on Lombok, says his house is now uninhabitable, having sustained severe structural damage from the magnitude 7.0 quake that hit the island Sunday evening, killing at least 91 people. Authorities issued a tsunami warning after the quake hit but lifted it a short while later. Burns said Monday that the force of the quake was so severe, it threw us out of bed, and the walls immediately started cracking. After dashing up the mountain, Burns, his wife and their 2-year-old son waited in the dark with about 200 other people from their village for the danger to pass. He has since returned home. Australian Foreign Minister Julie Bishop said Australian officials were making their way to Lombok to help Aussies caught up in the disaster. 11:15 a.m. A British tourist on Gili Trawangan Island near Lombok says thousands of people, locals and tourists, are trying to get off Trawangan, one of 3 popular Indonesian vacation islands off the northwest of Lombok, after spending a night outdoors. Saffron Amos from Brighton says thousands of people fled to a hill near the hostel where she was staying after Sunday evening's quake, fearing a tsunami. She says there was a lot of screaming and crying, particularly from the locals. We spoke to a lot of them and they were panicking about their family in Lombok. There's widespread building damage and a somber mood on the island a day after the quake, Amos said, adding she feels lucky to be unharmed. Authorities say the death toll now at 91 is likely to rise. 10:20 a.m. Indonesia's National Disaster Mitigation Agency says the death toll from the earthquake on Lombok has risen to 91 and could rise further as rescuers still haven't reached some of the worst affected areas in the north of the island. Spokesman Sutopo Purwo Nugroho said there is massive damage in North Lombok from the quake that struck early Sunday evening. He said thousands of houses and other buildings have been damaged and most of the deaths counted so far were caused by collapsing houses. President Joko Widodo has ordered cabinet ministers and military and police chiefs to accelerate the disaster relief effort. 9:35 a.m. Authorities say foreign and Indonesian tourists are being evacuated from popular vacation islands off the northwest of Lombok following Sunday's powerful earthquake that killed at least 82 people. National Disaster Mitigation Agency spokesman Sutopo Purwo Nugroho said there were no fatalities among tourists on the three islands Gili Trawangan, Gili Manao and Gili Air. He said 3 ships had evacuated 1,000 tourists so far. 4 agencies including the military and the National Search and Rescue Agency are involved in the evacuation. _____ 7 a.m. Thousands of homes were damaged by a powerful earthquake Sunday on the Indonesian tourist island of Lombok. National Disaster Mitigation Agency spokesman Sutopo Purwo Nugroho said the death toll had risen to 82 with hundreds injured. Most of the deaths were caused by collapsing houses. The magnitude 7.0 earthquake early Sunday evening struck in the northern part of Lombok and was also felt on Bali, where the airport terminal had ceiling tiles shaken loose. _____ 6 a.m. Australia's Home Affairs Minister has tweeted that he and his delegation have been safely evacuated in darkness from a Lombok hotel where they have been staying during a regional security conference. Home Affairs Minister Peter Dutton told Fairfax Media that he was on the hotel's 12th floor when the quake struck. He says the quake was powerful enough to put us on the floor and cut power. Australian Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull told 9 Network Television he will call Indonesian President Joko Widodo on Monday to offer all the Australian assistance that can be made available. He says there are no reports of injured Australians. ____4:55 a.m. Model Chrissy Teigen has shared her shock and worry in real time during a powerful and deadly earthquake in Indonesia with her social media followers. The model, along with singer husband John Legend and their 2 children, felt the shaking while on vacation in neighboring Bali on Sunday. Bali, trembling, so long, Teigen tweeted to her 10.6 million followers. The magnitude 7.0 quake has killed at least 39 people on the tourist island of Lombok, about 50 miles (80.5 kilometers) from Bali. A brief tsunami warning went into effect but was later lifted. The aftershocks unnerved Teigen, too. "I'm either still trembling or these little quakes won't stop. I am trying to be normal here," she wrote. _____1:20 a.m. The head of the Disaster Management Agency in Indonesia's West Nusa Tenggara province, Muhammad Rum, says the death toll from an earthquake that hit the tourist island of Lombok has risen to 39. The magnitude 7.0 quake centered on northern Lombok struck early Sunday evening and was also felt strongly in neighboring Bali, where it damaged buildings. Officials initially reported that at least 3 people had been killed. It was the second quake to hit Lombok in a week. A magnitude 6.4 quake on July 29 killed 16 people. ____9:15 p.m. An Indonesian official says at least 3 people have been killed after a strong earthquake struck the popular tourist island of Lombok. Najmul Akyar, district chief of North Lombok, told Metro TV that there was an electrical blackout so he was unable to assess the entire situation, but that at least 3 people had been killed. Authorities have lifted a tsunami warning that was issued after the quake struck early Sunday evening. The U.S. Geological Survey says the quake had a magnitude of 7.0 and a depth of 10.5 kilometers, 6 miles. Magnitude 6.4 quake hit Lombok, which is just east of Bali, on July 29, killing 16 people. ____8:55 p.m. Indonesian authorities have lifted a tsunami warning that was issued after a strong earthquake struck the popular tourist island of Lombok. Dwikarita Karnawati, head of Indonesia's Meteorology, Climatology and Geophysics Agency, told Metro TV that the tsunami warning has ended. She said the warning was for the lowest level of tsunami, and that small waves just 15 centimeters, 6 inches, high were detected in 3 villages. The U.S. Geological Survey says the quake Sunday evening had a magnitude of 7.0 and its epicenter was about 2 kilometers, 1 mile, east-southeast of Lolone, with a depth of 10.5 kilometers, 6 miles. A magnitude 6.4 quake hit Lombok, which is just east of Bali, on July 29, killing 16 people. ____7:40 p.m. A strong earthquake has struck Indonesia's popular tourist island of Lombok, 1 week after another quake in the same area killed more than a dozen people. The National Disaster Mitigation Agency says the latest quake, which struck early Sunday evening, has the potential to trigger a tsunami. The U.S. Geological Survey says the quake had a magnitude of 7.0 and its epicenter was about 2 kilometers, 1 mile, east-southeast of Lolone, with a depth of 10.5 kilometers, 6 miles. A magnitude 6.4 quake hit Lombok, which is just east of Bali, on July 29, killing 16 people. Like Bali, Lombok is known for pristine beaches and mountains. Hotels and other buildings in both locations are not allowed to exceed the height of coconut trees. Copyright 2018 The Associated Press. All rights reserved. This material may not be published, broadcast, written or redistributed.